Then the models like the Women's Commission, Children's Commission, SC Commission, ST Commission, the Central Information Commission, the Commissioner with Persons with Disabilities, the National Safai Karmachari Commission will be really bad. And the Lokpal which is to come. Let them decide about it. If you have a wrong model for 20 years and leave the model there, that is the wrong model that everybody else in the country will want to follow. All our state human rights commissions today have an IAS and IPS. The latest being the West Bengal contribution of the former DGP of West Bengal being appointed. And you all know why he was appointed. He was appointed precisely to balance the chair, who was a strong chair there, irrespective of other controversies that are going on in the country. And therefore, for the jury, there are 2 or 3 standards which we have to follow. One is, this jury, my humble request is, Paris Principles should be your guidelines. And number 2, since Paris Principles are 20 years old, the Paris Principles have been amplified by the ICC, which is a peer group, which is a member of all the national human rights institutions across the globe. All of them have come together and they have amplified the Paris Principles into what is known as the General Observations of 2013 May, which I will be supplying to you. And therefore, there are standards which are already set. We don't need to go and look for new standards. And if we don't follow those standards, our commission will lose its A-grade status. And it is not Balakrishnan losing an A-grade status or Murugesan losing an A-grade status or still the best addition Justice Syriac Joseph losing his A-grade status. It is worth mentioning here, because I am on appointments, a judge who served for 1,300 days in this country in the Supreme Court and delivered 10 judgments has been handpicked to serve in the National Human Rights Commission this year. I repeat, 1,300 days in the Supreme Court, 10 judgments, handpicked to serve. I think we are in an extremely, extremely bad position. Therefore, coming straight to appointments, I think many things about appointments have been said. I want to get into 1 or 2 important things. No women members for the past 9 years. Serious. Opportunities were there. The only 2 women members were Justice Fatima Bibi and Justice Sujata Manohar. Last 20 years, only IPS and IFS. And we have improved in those bad qualities. We started with retired IPS. We have landed with serving IPS. We have the present or the former serving director of the NIA, who was last appointed, Mr. P.C. Sinha. This is a mockery of appointments in this. He might be a very nice person, I have no problems. He might be a very efficient person, no problems. I don't know him. Nothing is with malice to the individuals who are serving office. And the Supreme Court has been party to this whole process because they upheld the appointment of Mr. P.C. Sharma. And after appointment as a member of NHRC for 2 terms, people were biased here. They said only the NDA appointment. The NDA appointment was for the Babri Masjid case. The UPA 1 appointment was for the Bofors case. Let us complete the story. There are no academicians in this country. There are no media persons in this country. There are no lawyers in this country. There are no human rights activists in this country fit to be appointed. 20 years, 2 positions, not one representative of single representative of civil society has been appointed. Yes, among those who appointed were some excellent people. Mr. Virendra Dayal, who was appointed as a former diplomat, Mr. Pal, who was appointed as a former diplomat, are excellent people. Civil society in this country wants to really say this upfront. That the point is not with individuals. The point is that slot is meant for people with experience and expertise in human rights. And in 20 years, that you did not get a woman is something bad. No rules of procedure as regards appointments. We have this fantastic appointment committee about which we are so proud in our international meetings, and say we have the Prime Minister selecting, we have the Home Minister selecting, we have the opposition leader selecting, we have the leader of both the houses of Parliament, the opposition leader selecting. Let us get into facts. Facts reveal that most often the leaders of the opposition do not attend the appointment committee meetings. They have stopped going for these meetings. And therefore, it is exactly what Prashant has said. I don't want to take your time into this. The model, therefore, in these last 20 years of Protection of Human Rights Act has to completely change. And while saying so, the same is a joke that goes on in every state. In every state you have the opposition leader who is part of the appointment committee who never attends those meetings because the leader of the opposition and the chief ministers usually don't see eye to eye. So they don't even come and attend the meetings. So why this farce of a participation of the opposition in this whole process? In May 2011, our commission was scrutinized in the accreditation process. They were given certain questions, which is the model for all commissions. They responded to it, and civil society was asked to give its own report, and many of us gathered here are co-signatories to this report, including Justice Suresh. We are co-signatories to this report. On the basis of this report, yes, the Indian Commission, while compared to other commissions, was granted an A-grade status. But for the first time in history, the Indian Commission was told a few lessons to take back home. One was what Dr. Mohini Giri already mentioned, the role of deemed members. It's very interesting, those meetings Maya and Mohini Giri spoke are very long meetings of 2 hours. Suhas is there, who is serving in the present commission. Lenin is there, who is serving in the present commission as a national core group. Suhas, I said first Lenin, then only I mentioned your name. These are all people who are serving there. Harsh has served in the national core group earlier. We will all testify our meetings are maximum 2 hours with lovely coffee and lovely tea and biscuits. The point is, if it is a Delhi wala coming for a meeting for 2 hours, it is different. If you have a South Indian wala coming for a meeting, spending about 20,000 rupees for a 2 hours meeting, in the manner that they said, the same is the meeting of the deemed members of the commission. That is also a less than 1 hour, 1.5 hour meeting of the deemed members of the commission. So during this accreditation process, they were told categorically that pluralism means that with great respect to the senior citizens here, 3 old black-robed men alone in your commission doesn't amount to pluralism. Because only one of your functions is complaints handling. 9 of your functions are not related to complaints handling. And to perform those 9 functions, you have the deemed members and the full commission. 3 judges, whatever categories are not required in your commission, is what the ICC has recommended. And I think it is up to us. Think about it. Do we need it? And I'm going to give suggestions how this can be done away with. And the more and more we go in this country, these are rare judges. The judges we have here is the rare. The common judges are those who are waiting for their retirement. Because the day they retire, they start charging sitting fees, standing fees, reading fees, writing fees, I don't know whatever, in arbitrations. And we say it with anger because we are angry. Because there have been constitutional functionaries in this country, and they wait for their retirement to start making money. And therefore, in the days to come, don't expect retired judges to be available the way they are available or were available earlier. It's not possible. It's not possible. And therefore, this entire composition has to change. The general observations of 2013, I'm not going to them, which I'm going to make available to all of you here, categorically states 2 things. One, your ambit of selection should be wide. And the process of selection has to be transparent. There is no public available data, either on the website of the NHRC or any other websites to which the NHRC is accountable to, that the ICC has given these recommendations or to the NHRC. When the NHRC chairperson was told, dear members of the jury, in the year 2009-2010, in a meetings of the NHRC's core group, you are going for your accreditation. Let us be on the same side. Let us not have to be on the opposite side. The chairperson, the then chairperson of the Commission, Justice Karnataka, Rajendra Babu, leaned to his honorable member, Justice Mathur, on his left and asked him, what is this ICC that this man is talking about? Friends, you are laughing here. In an APF meeting in Sydney, another honorable member, who is now the Lokayukta of Andhra Pradesh, or Lokayukta of Karnataka, who served as Chief Justice of Karnataka, was responsible for human rights education. You were there in that meeting. I think you were there. No. YSR. I think it was Sydney. And we were talking about promises made, pledges made by our country during the Human Rights Council election. And that judge who was there in the meeting was woken up by the chair, said there's an Indian asking a question. And the response of that honorable judge was, who was a member of the NHRC, was, my learned friend knows that in India election pledges are monitored by the Election Commission of India. I'm saying this with pain. If we are angry because I think we have a right to a better commission which looks after the whole affairs of human rights, its protection and promotion in this country. And that is why we are angry. We are not angry with individuals. We want better people there. Staff. There has been a very clear mention once again made by the ICC in its recommendations. You cannot have a statute which says that only an IAS officer or an IPS officer of a certain rank can be appointed as the Secretary General and the Director General of Investigation. This has to be an open process. And I don't believe, contrary to one or two opinions here, that the investigation wing has to be only policemen. No. Investigation wing is not a criminal investigation wing. It is a human rights investigation wing. And a human rights investigation wing needs a variety of experts sitting there, including medical personnel, psychologists, people from different fields, etc. It is not only policemen.